I doubled the organic traffic to this one page on our domain in one day. Here's how. All right, let me show you. So the first step that we did was to go into Search Console. So this is content that already exists and ranks. And I looked at everything in here that's pulling in traffic to kind of identify things that make sense. Looking at the page breakdown to tackle. So I was going from top to bottom clicks, excluded the branded page here, and then looked at those those two pages specifically to look at the CTR and the average position. Those two go hand in hand, right? So if you rank higher, your CTR will go up. And I was looking at anything that was showing traction. So I think when I went in here, position was around 20 or 17. So this was before we did a content refresh. And the CTR was already quite good, but I knew that it could be higher. I was aiming for something around 10, like what we're seeing now, because when you look at the data, the main goal is to basically break into the top 10. That's the first goal. And then the next one is obviously top 3. So if we look at the position, this is what I did. We weren't ranking top 3 in most of these that are pulling in all the clicks before the refresh. And now you can see that anything that was around 3 is now something around 1. So the average kind of difference will be something around 2 positions better. And we also managed to get a bunch of featured snippets, which are these answers at the top where you're basically before the organic results. These don't always lead to clicks, so it's not perfect, but obviously it will drive up your impressions because you're all the way at the top, right? So basically, when you approach this, look at things that show good traction, they have impressions, but the CTR is not that good or is not as good as it could be. That could be because, or that most likely will be because you're not hitting top 10 for any of the terms, or you're not hitting top 3. And so I went down the list. Those were the first ones to do. We have a lot more coming up. But I went in and I did a content refresh. So that's very important to refresh your content regularly based off of what you see in Search Console. And this is how the content looked before, right? So you can see, I think this was I used SwiftBrief for both. This was an old version of SwiftBrief, which was much more shallow. And you can see that in the content. So header here, not a lot of headers, right? So not very deep to what it is now, right? So basically added a table of contents, we added TLDR, we added a lot more depth, summary at the end. And you can see just scrolling through the page, more pictures, etc. And also paid a lot of attention to the right keywords being in the title, the H1, and covering examples as well and things that we've seen in Search Console that people are looking for similar things. Jokes. All right. So you can see we knew that people were looking for this. And in the old one, that section was kind of thin, right? So now it was one-liners. It was like a tiny bit here. But yeah. So in the end, the biggest change is just using a different version of SwiftBrief and making sure that we're covering all the keywords that we're seeing in Search Console, at least the ones that are pulling in volume and clicks, to make sure that we break into the top 3. That was the main goal, to see if we can break into the top 3 and drive up the CTR. And as you can see, we basically doubled or almost doubled the traffic to this one page by just optimizing what we already had, what was showing some traction. And I think that's what a lot of people underestimate, is basically the 80-20 effects of SEO. So if you look at our pages here, there's a couple 6 that pull in over 1,000 clicks, and then you already have a drastic drop off here, right? So we have 323 pages. Most pages pull in under 100 clicks, which means that looking at the distribution, I mean, this might very well be 80-20. If we throw that through GPT, maybe I'll do that later to get an overview. And one thing I would also pay attention to is branded search, especially if you have a small page. This will probably be most of your traffic. It's from social mentions and things like that. People going in looking for Bridesmaid for Hire, right? That's the domain. They'll find that, and that can go up and down based off of your social activity, PR mentions, etc. So basically, interesting. I didn't see that. I'll make a screenshot. Yeah, that is what you want to kind of exclude, because that can skew a lot of your results, especially in the beginning. So you want to find the long form or any of the service pages, really, right? Like wedding vow generator, for example. Those two are solutions pages. They're like tools. And as you can see, we only have 2 blocks that perform better than the tools, which there's a lot of room for us to grow into this. And we've found out some new things here as well. I think made of honor speech examples, for example. This one, starting to pick up some traction. New content will always be a bit longer. As you can see with the old content, you refresh once it happened. Look at this here. You can clearly see the spike. So the content was refreshed on the 14th. And you can see if you would plot that as a trend, there's a clear upwards trend here, and it's very fast. So after the 14th, when the refresh landed, it picked up quite fast. So yeah, to recap, start in Search Console. That's the first step. Look for opportunities. Some sign of volume, low CTR. Look at the competitors. Like if you can't break into top 10 or you can't break into top 3, you'll fight an uphill battle. So just look at the competitive landscape, especially based off of your own domain authority. And then, yeah, just make sure you have really, really good content aligned with intent for the things you already have traction on, and always just never just publish content and forget about it. I think that's what a lot of people do wrong. And this will help you get the most out of the 80-20 when it comes to SEO. Yeah, feel free to check out SwiftBrief to help with this. We have both keyword research, clustering components, where you can just basically drop in your keyword that you're targeting for that specific page. And then it will help you analyze the competition and obviously create a solid brief with good structure, similar to what you have seen over here. All right. Feel free to subscribe for more.